Thank God it's Friday and welcome to Enterprise Friday, reaching you from our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria, and Enterprise Television it is. You're welcome to our show today, and my name is Henry.
And my name is Roberta Piaifo.
In a bit, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines today to see all that we have, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. So while we get everything all sorted out for you, please do well to be part of our community, have a say in what we say by logging on to our site at enterprisetvnews.com, and also like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. With us today in the studios to do justice to all that we have Cyril Abaku, journalist and a public affairs analyst, and Barrister Evans Ufeli, a barrister at law and a public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Morning.
Thank God it's Friday.
Well, sometimes you say thank God it's Friday.
Alright, so while we get excited as we get ourselves into the weekend, let's kick off our newspaper headlines today with The Guardian. What do we have, Roberta?
All right. You can take the lead on that one.
All right, so the big story here says insurgency in Northeast. Thousands in the streets as supports dry up in border towns.
Still on The Guardian, don't destroy PDP. Daily Momodu warns as party crisis worsens.
All right, knocks for immigration over passport fee hike.
And still on The Guardian, Tinubu CGN, Tinubu to swear in Kekere-Ekun as Ariwoola retires.
All right, so let's get into that particular story.
Okay.
And we have it that President Bola Tinubu is set to swear in Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. That will be in anytime soon. The swearing-in ceremony is built to take place on August 23, 2024 at the State House Council Chambers. Kekere-Ekun will succeed Justice Kayode Ariwoola, who retired on a Thursday. Cyril Abaku, let's get into this matter. Kekere finished her law, finished actually graduated in 1980. She was sworn in 1981. About 44 years as a lawyer. Do you think this is deserving of her?
Yeah, and quite frankly speaking, a long time.
Yeah.
That's quite a long time, more than 4 decades.
Yes,
Almost half a century.
Yes.
You want to think that she's garnered all the experience, she's been there, done that, she's seen it all, and should have the charisma and character to step into the shoes of an office no less that of the Chief Justice of the Federation.
Okay.
This is where it's where the big masquerades play.
Yeah.
It's not the place for the faint of heart. So, yes, she's going to become the second woman really to
Yes.
after Mustafa. Yes.
Ciao.
Yes. So a lot. If you look at it, after everything she's done, a lot more will be required of her as CJN. Because when in that place, it's a different body mentality. But of course, she's been there. She's already been on the bench for only so long. So it won't be entirely new, but it will be new in a way, because now she has to show the responsibility of being the head of the of that arm of government. But my curiosity is why dispensation in and dispensation out. Whenever a CGN is retiring, the same checklist of things undone the person leaves hands over are the same things the person he or she hands over to will pass on to the next person. So, for example, I think Kutugi was my CGN, if I'm correct. Kasinalu and the rest of it. So we went from Uwais to all these people, and then before his lordship Ariwoola retired, there was Tanko Mohammed. Before Tanko Mohammed left office, there was Walter Nkanu Onohen. Before Onohen,
Mukhtar.
Yes, Mukhtar. But the Aluma Mukhtar. The problem really isn't for want of hands that can function. It is that the Nigerian judiciary has, well, in my summation of things, hasn't been an environment that has evolved significantly with the times. judges still writing judgment in longhand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Judiciary staff not being, there's the NJI, there's the National Judicial Institute, but the sort of training that being given, I'm not sure it's in step with the digital age. We are told that in Kenya, you don't need to go to court to file.
How do you do it?
Digitally.
Yes.
We do that here too.
Yeah, but I mean, whether it's mainstream culture and can happen everywhere is what I don't know. So now, for example, Justice Ariwoola has let me just take one item he talked about. He said that there's a backlog of cases. When did we fill up the code of the Supreme Court? It was just some months or maybe a year and a half ago. The court was about 15 of them on the bench, right? And they had less than 10 or so. And for a long time.
It was supposed to have 21.
21. And I mean, so these are the issues. The backlog of cases, a court in which you have cases that have been pending for 30 years, that she will meet cases that have been there for longer than before she even became a lawyer. So how do we reconcile the problem of a judiciary that's not able to carry its own weight anymore? Yes, that really is going to. So it is not just about presiding over cases. It's about re-envisioning the judiciary. It's about the philosophical direction for Nigerian judiciary. It's about how to stamp out corruption. It's about how to write an enemy goal. It's about how perhaps it can be said that it was in our time that the Nigerian judiciary came into its own, in a manner of speaking. It is not a good thing, Henry and Roberta,
yes,
that whenever we talk about the Nigerian judiciary, we always talk about it in the past when we had Justice Idigbe, when we had Justice Erekefe, when we had Charles Chukwudi, when we had Kayode Ariwoola, Akinola Gudanko. Yes, they were great judges, but how about today? How about today that you people are today in the National Assembly?
Yes.
Who didn't contest for an election?
And they are there.
Then the court, I don't know how the court came by the wisdom to say that they should be there.
And unfortunately, the political class have created the catchphrase "go to court," which unfortunately, further deepens.
They found that, and that "go to court" phrase,
yes,
just to move to land, could have been used by even an armed robber. It's like when armed robbers are not executed until they've gone to court. Am I correct? So it's like an robber saying, "I have to go to." And come on, what gives him the confidence to tell you to go to court?
Because he knows.
Yeah, so that confidence that tells an offender that an offender uses to tell the person he has offended, go to court. Can we keep that confidence? If we can keep that confidence, then I mean we will be very happy.
All right. So while we talk about stamping out corruption, by Stefan Sufedi, let's go into the antecedents of this learned woman, Kekere-Ekun. In 2020, she had a case, Hope Uzodinma versus Emeka Ihejoha. She equally was in charge of Adeleke versus Oyetola, and equally she was still in charge of Yeltsin Wike versus Dakuku Peterside. In all of these cases, of course, we all knew where it panned towards, which Nigerians have come up to say is a miscarriage of justice. Which of them, the miscarriage of justice? Each of them. Nigerians have come up to say that every one of them, wasn't, on the part of the masses. Now, if that is the case, do you expect anything better from the CJs?
Nigerians don't know how to appraise law. Nigerians cannot appraise, except for the lawyers among them. They don't know how to appraise law. We think that the average Nigerian want the court to be like their church, okay, where they tell them all sorts. The court can never be a church, because as much as I admit that there is problem in the judiciary and that there's corruption, which by the way is not only in the judiciary, it cuts across. As much as I admit that, I have to be sincere to the fact that the Nigerian judiciary is not altogether condemned. Now, the cases you mentioned that she superintended over are high profile cases, okay? If you talk about the Hope Uzodinma case, the Hope Uzodinma case was pronounced on the basis of law and evidence. The adverse party did not deflate. Which is
still disputable, actually.
No, well, you can dispute. You can dispute all you care, but I mean, you tendered evidence in court, okay? And after the election, the party whom INEC declared fault was aggrieved and went to court and as a part of his vote were not counted.
386
were not counted. Now, that if those votes were counted, he would have emerged winner. And then he brought a duplicate copy of to evidence the fact that this was not counted. Now, whilst he did that, he tendered to the adverse party did not contest the submission, did not argue for or against it. And the court found it a credible evidence because when he looked at proper custody, the court discovered that the evidence was credible. And because it was not opposed, you don't expect the court not to admit an evidence that is admissible. The principles of admissibility was applied and it scaled through. And when you put that together, he emerged the winner. Nigerians keep saying, he came out fourth. It didn't come out fourth. The counting, there was error in the counting. You may not like the man. But what you ought to have done was to debunk that with evidence and crush it there. Not to allow it to pass. Then you now come and be saying, it came out. No. So what I'm saying is this. Amici, Dakuku Peter side. These are cases that were determined on the merit. Yes. These are cases that are determined on the merit. In one of the first, Adeleke's first outing with Oyetola,
Yes.
she was not the one who read the lead judgment. Because in that case, I remember that the issue in contention was that the judge who read the lead judgment was not part of, was not in the panel when evidence was tendered.
So how is it possible that someone who wasn't part of the panel would be the one?
That's what I'm saying. That was the argument.
Okay.
You understand? Peter Obiora, okay, who read the lead judgment, was not in the, you understand? Was not in the panel. So it was upturned against Adeleke. You understand? Which were all condemned. So the bottom line is that, is she going to make a difference? That's your question.
Exactly.
Yes.
Given that she's been there all the while, and what I want Nigerians to do, even if you are not a lawyer, you can look at the Evidence Act, you can read the Evidence Act and understand it. You can read the rules of the Supreme Court. You can read the Electoral Act. Okay? Read some of these laws, and when judgments are delivered, please read the ratio decidendi, the reason for the judgment.
Okay.
The reason given for the decision taken. It's not every time when court just deliver judgment, Nigerians will just pour out in their number. They have voted money. They turn it out. Now, let me tell you, in Adebisi versus the state, a case, in criminal law, for you to convict a criminal, you must prove two things, two elements. Okay. One is the actus reus, and the other is the mens rea. Actus reus is a physical act. Do you understand? I broke this cup and I used the bottle to stab someone. Okay? I broke this cup, I used, but that's the actus reus. Do you understand? It's a physical act. Now, the mens rea is this. I broke this cup, I used the bottle to stab someone with the intention to kill him. That's the mens rea.
Okay.
You understand? That's a mental act. The physical and the mental. If you don't get these two right, you cannot get a conviction. Now, in Adebisi versus the state, what happened was that there's this man that used to drink. Anytime he's coming back from work, he would drink and he would fall in the gutter, fall everywhere and all that. And there's a madman that I've been watching him every day. Each time he will come back drunk and So this madman was wondering, why is this guy always drunk? So one night, he took a sword, went to where this man was lying by the roadside after drinking. He cut off the man's head. Just giving you an illustration. He cut off the man's head. So when he was charged to court for murder, because the court was of the view that the counsel, prosecution counsel was of the view that he intended to kill the man, and that is why he did that. That if you couldn't have cut off a man's head when you don't intend to kill him. You understand? So when he was under cross-examination, concerning the madman, why did he have to take the life of another person? He now told the judge that he never intended to kill the man. That man had been drinking every time, that he wanted to remove the man's head, so that when the man wakes up and discovers that he has no head again, he will not drink again. I don't know if you understand that. So you see, the case, he was discharged, having looked at the fact that he's not of unsound mind, and that his intention primarily was not to kill, it's just to remove the man's head, so that when the man wakes up and I don't have head again, I will not drink again. So now the intent that the law, now you have established actus reus, the physical act that he caught him, but you do not pass the menstrual, because the intention was not to kill. So if you cannot even reduce it to manslaughter, involuntary murder. So the madman was discharged. Now, when the public hear about it, they say, the judge collected money. He killed somebody. He couldn't have, why? Somebody that killed somebody, that's what they'll be saying. But the law works in different ways. You have not been able to prove menstrual. So what I'm saying is that maybe an elementary knowledge of the law will help the public a great deal. Okay? But that is not to say that the judiciary altogether, they've been doing the right things. We saw it in the issue of the IRF matter. That was totally wrong. Okay?
Yes.
And we have seen cases where they turned the law on its head. Akpabio, placeholder, Lawan, and the rest of that. Those were complete embarrassment to the judiciary. Every lawyer who understands will tell you that it was wrong. That couldn't have been possible. You don't contest election, you are now a Senate president. It couldn't have been the right thing. Okay, I will condemn that. But there are other issues we must probe critically and look at it from the ratio, the reasoning behind those judgments, and we should counter reason same with logic.
All right, Singing Babaku, while I was mentioning the cases that Kekere-Ekun, handled, and he was describing it, you chuckled.
No, because I mean, for those of us who have not been calling to the inner temperature board,
yes,
we find some of this is a bit difficult to assimilate, because if I hear that IRF was briefly shut down as Lai Mohammed admitted, and someone will tell me that he didn't shut down to disrupt the elections. He did so to save the server from being hacked. Come on, but there's a national consequence that follows what you're doing. But I believe that the issue in question, right, is because this woman, her lordship, has been part and parcel of the whole system.
Yes.
She knows it inside out, and she's taken headlines for some of the most controversial or what's the word now? Some of the most notorious cases that have come out of our democratic experience, less than the past 10 years.
Okay.
She's from Lagos State.
Yes.
So some even feel that our president is from Lagos State as well, and that she has walked through the. What I'll take from that is this: under Oshibajo as Commissioner of Justice in Lagos State, there were a lot of notable. What's the one now? Advances that the Lagos State Judiciary.
Yes, innovations.
Innovation, yes. That's what I'm meaning. Innovations that were adopted in Lagos State, and she came through that system. So we hope that she'll be able to replicate same from the top to bottom. So if she's able to do that, it will be a great plus. But for what she has not done, don't let us put her on trial.
All right, fine.
Am I correct?
Yeah, good.
Based on her past.
Or what she has not done.
Okay, so now let's move on to the president. Now she's going to be appointed as the new CGN. All right, today. So, what do you think are the measures? I come to Barrister Evans. What do you think are the measures she needs to put in place to revamp our criminal justice delivery in the system?
For me?
Yes, for you.
Yes. There's a lot on her table right now. A lot of persons are in detention now who are waiting trial.
Yes.
Okay. That long list, she has to, as much as possible, exterminate it and, create a model that will ensure that nobody stays in detention more than 48 hours.
Okay.
Because the reason our prisons are congested is not because the inmates have all been convicted and condemned. Okay. A huge chunk of that number, people are waiting trial. People who don't have case file again. So they've not been bringing them to court because their case file is missing.
Yes.
And they're in detention. Okay. People who don't have lawyers to stand in for them.
Yes.
She must rejig the Legal Aid Council.
Okay.
Okay. Lagos State replicated the Legal Aid Council. They have where you have lawyers that will stand in for indigent people who have been arrested, who have been accused, who are suspects, but they have no lawyer. You cannot imagine how many inmates are in detention just because they have no lawyer to defend them.
Yes.
Well, I go to prison and I go to court. But as a principal, I don't take case in court. You understand? Okay. But I've had to bend some of those rules sometimes when I see these people. When they were arresting these sex workers in Okwebi, I was the one that used to go and defend them and bring them out from detention. Okay. Okay? Which I was doing pro bono. And Nigerians were calling me a shower lawyer. And I took the name with pride. Why? Because that business is not a crime in the South. It's not a crime. That's why when they want to charge them, they cannot find the charge. They used to charge them for conduct likely to breach public peace. Okay?
Yes.
It's not a crime. And whatever is not a crime stated in law, you cannot arrest someone for it and charge him. So what they do is that they charge them and then they leave them there at the maximum prison for years. Sometimes they mutilate their file. Sometimes they will just be there for years. And these sex workers are highly literate. So when I was interviewed by the Punch newspaper why I'm doing those cases, I said, see, I'm not doing it because I endorse the practice. I'm doing it because they pack these girls to the prison custody and leave them there. The place is congested.
Yes.
Those who really commit offense, they take them there. The ones that commit serious offense, they don't have a place to put them. Sometimes they just put all of them. They contract tuberculosis, all manner of disease because the prison is congested. And I told the reporter that the federal government is supposed to be paying me for decongesting the prison. Because the federal government not too long ago were complaining that states government should start to feed the inmates because they are tired. But you can't feed, the federal government have to budget 14,000 naira to feed one inmate per day. That's what they give. But at the end of the day, the food they give them is not up to 100 naira, the quality of the food. So what I'm saying is that these inmates that are in prison, she has to address that issue as the CJN, okay, to ensure that you decongest it. Yes. She has to, our criminal justice system totally, she has to look into the feeding of inmates. It's her responsibility. Okay. It's not just prison warders. The prison warders are as complicated as inmates. So she must make sure that you look into that budget and the quality of food served. If possible, change that system. The medics in the prison is horrible. This is her responsibility too. She needs to look into the medics, the vocational centers and the training there. She needs to look for a way to improve, take them to digital level, okay, and all that. Then sanitation in the prison.
Important. Yes, very
sanitation. The last time I went to the prison, warders, inmates, when they want to evacuate the sewage, they will carry buckets and enter the sockaway and bail out feces, be bailing it out until they're able to clear the place. They will bail it out. That is hazardous to the environment. Open defecation, you understand? Climate change and the rest of that. So And in that same place, inmates have farms where they grow pumpkin leaves and all that. And those pumpkin leaves are sold.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
They possibly will be contaminated by the same sewage system. Okay? The prisons itself are prisons that were built during the colonial eras. The list of them, apart from the one Akpabio built in Akwa Ibom State,
Yes.
and the one a few governors contributed to be, which is one. There is no prison in Nigeria that was built before 1930. None. You understand?
Yes.
Sorry, that was built after 1930.
Okay.
Because apart from the one that Akpabio and these few persons have, so that chain, then let's pull out from there to the police.
Yes.
Because the police is the instrument, the first point of call. They are the one that will arrest.
Yes.
We are talking about the whole criminal justice system. They will be the one to arrest. When they arrest, the process here is that they will arrest you and start to look for evidence to charge you. Why? That is why they cannot charge you within 24 hours or 48 hours, because they don't have any evidence. They don't have any evidence.
Yes.
The only evidence they have is that they have you in custody. So if they charge you that day, they're going to lose the case. So they'll not keep you and start to go and look for evidence everywhere. Sometimes they'll go and get order of court to keep you more than 48 hours to go and look for evidence. But in the West, before you are arrested, they've already profiled, they have all the evidence.
Yes.
They can charge you now, today. They can arrest you today and charge you in the afternoon, the same day.
All right.
You understand?
Right.
So she need to look at the police. Then she also need to look at inward, the judges too.
Okay.
Yes. If you have a case where there's no point remanding somebody to prison custody when you know that the police are not ready. They don't come with their witness. They are not ready for trial.
Yes.
They don't have anything, and they'll still be seeking adjournment, and a judge will be giving them adjournment while somebody is in custody. Should be granted bail. So let's have a system that works.
That works. Thank you very much.
So elaborate, and just to add to it, just yesterday, 6 protesters from the NSAS protest were actually granted bail. You know, at the magistrate court in Ogba, in Oyo State, Nigeria. That's after serving 4 years for a crime they would have been granted bail for 15,000 naira or 2 months. You know, it's so very unfair.
Protest is not a crime. Protest is not a crime. You say for a crime that.
But they charge them for what you just said, for disruption. Their conduct
likely to breach public peace.
So perhaps the progressive branch of this would now be that if you have, the state should also be made to pay. Okay. So if you kept somebody in this sort of way, there was a man who was taken arrested, I think, in Lagos and taken to Mina. Then the IPO was transferred, whatever it was. He was in prison for almost 30 years, no trial at all. When people like that are brought out, the state should need to pay compensation.
Yes, this person who is so kept in prison, there's a provision in law, you can file an action against the state for malicious prosecution.
So that
if a criminal case terminates in favor of the accused,
yes.
Okay.
You have a right under the law to commence a case against the prosecution for malicious prosecution.
Well, let's see how that goes, and we pray that the new CJN, of course, will do what she needs to do. But let's quickly go to the Nation newspaper today. We have no room for subversive moves, the federal government wants.
This one says OVH acquisition, the business decision says NNPCL.
All right, so let's stay on that. Cyril Abaku, let me just take you down memory lane a little bit. 1998, OBS 245, when Seni Abacha gave Malabo the oil field license. Of course, Basanjo came, he renounced that, gave it back to NNPC. Later, it was changed to Shell and Eni. Right now, in the administration of Bola Tinubu,
It has moved.
yeah, it has moved from Eni and Shell and gone back to NNPC. Finally, Owando, with Wale Tinubu, the nephew of Bola Tinubu, taking over 100% shares of Nigerian Agit Oil. Isn't that against the
That's at the cost of $700 million.
$795 million.
Yes, but so if I hear you clearly, what I hear you saying is that, assuming that the president was out of office today or tomorrow, that the national could move again from the So what Nigeria lacks is proper corporate governance, transparency, accountability, and you don't realize that all these people are thieves. Because what leadership does is, if you come in and find incongruencies or improper conduct, before you move on from there, you should probe it, where necessary, prosecute those who might have offended, but they won't do that.
Okay.
They will go round and round, scuttle things, and then seek credit for themselves or for their cronies or for their allies, and hope that from that point on it will be go and see no more. So there must be a system that creates but the Nigerian situation is that all the laws are written and they are there. But leaders just choose to take on a token of impunity and just do whatever it is they like to do. And because they are aware that if someone else came in another time and began to probe it and maybe took the matter to court, the merit of your facts, of your case, are immaterial. When they have gone to court, because they're confident of what they'll get there, so I honestly don't know where to take this whole issue from. Government after government after, of course, it's a lucrative pit. So what do you expect? It's a lucrative pit. So they all want to plunge. This is an elite war, and the elite will go to war when there's a common resource. Okay, our common resource today is oil. They know what they're after, and they're going after it. So when the news came out yesterday that I saw the headline, and all I could do was just chuckle to like say they've come again. So this is like episode 1 scene, whatever it is just another scene in drama. It means that if another government came into power, that thing will move again. So, and with this is the reason Total said your policies and today you say this one, tomorrow you say another one. Why are we going to invest in your country? They went to Angola, lowly Angola. These are the issues. If government is wondering what these are the issues. So we must address the problem of greed. This one is beyond laws. Is the issue of greed. What to make a government come out open and say Nigeria oil don't belong to the Apache family, they belong to the federal government. Because some family has the mentality of entitlement, it belongs to us. Our father gave it to us.
Yes.
They took both the oil well and land from the Apache family. If you read what has come out of late. So that's for me it's a matter of when they are there, Henry and Roberta, when they are there, they want to amass as much
as they can.
Now they're talking about OVH. If you went to check, do you know how many deals have gone that Nigerians are not even the one that they took NNPC as collateral to take a $3 billion loan for the NNPC. A third party went to apply for loan using the NNPC as security to obtain the loan for the NNPC. And Atiku was saying, we people, why can't the NNPC go and take the loan by themselves? Why go to the third party? What is that on doing there?
And interestingly, in 2023, January, at the very end of 2023, Lokoburi, the Minister of Petroleum Gas, according to People's Gazette investigative people, he said, ensure that this deal goes well because the president is interested in that particular deal. It is the same $785 million deal that, of course, has gone to Oando. Tell me, why do you think we should stand and watch the president, who is the 001 of Nigeria, participate in a deal that he has interest in?
That is a conflict of interest. So we said this all the while, even when the president addressed the protesters, he addressed the protesters as a businessman. Okay. The president had his hand in a lot of issues before he became president. A lot of businesses, including the power distribution, the discos and all that.
Yes.
Invest in all those issues. Okay, now he's the president. There have been allegations flying left, right, and center that the president is actually involved in this whole oil business. Okay, we saw that. We saw his relative how Oando was acquired. That's on public record. And who is behind the directorship of that and all whatnot. Even in Lagos State, we know about Alpha Beta, yes, and all that. This is a man that is hugely in business in the country. Now, has he relinquished his ownership or interests in those businesses now that he's president in order to move the country forward? Or is he leading the country with those interests?
Or would it be like the Minister Ojo?
Who said he has stepped off, but the wife is still there.
And they're getting contract from another minister and all that. So these issues are, we have not really purged ourselves of contempt. Okay. I don't see this government improving the cause of any Nigerian. I just see this government like people who are scrambling for the Commonwealth, what is left of the country, with all they have already. You know, it is actually poverty of the mind, spirit, and soul, to have so much and still be wretched, and still be looking for more,
and still be looting for more.
Yeah, still looking for more. So at the end of the day, you are not going to go anywhere at all. So you can imagine you are talking about a deal, and then you are mentioning the president, #1 man of the country, as part of the deal. In the UK, if a prime minister here will resign, that I'm part of this government, that I can be associated with this government from this thing I'm seeing, people will start to resign. But here, anything goes, anything will pass. You will not do anything. So that is why somebody say you can become everything, but don't ever toy with the Nigerian poverty. Don't go there. Do all you can to ensure, because this is not a country where anybody is thinking about anybody. There are just few people in this country, a handful of them, who are thinking about the need of the next man standing. And but the politicians are not one of them. And they control 90% of the resources of the country. So how do you redistribute wealth in a country where less than 1% of you control 90% of the resources? So it's a mismatch. You can't find this in many places in the world. You can only find this in third world countries that have been torn apart. So with that kind of formation,
yes, you
cannot grow human capital. You cannot grow, citizens. You can't distribute. You can't make things work, because the citizens are all living in defiance of what system, the kind of system that have been created. You see some of these people defecating on the expressway.
Yes.
Some of them is protest. I'm just telling you. There's one guy, I was driving through Billings Way. Okay. The guy came, overtook me. The moment he overtook me, he entered my front. Okay. Got to that place where Eleganza used to be.
Yes.
You know, there's a road sign there now that you should not turn. There's a don't turn.
Yes.
He got there, a horn for the last man to see him. Yes. And turned them and looked back at them like this and zoom off. It's protest. You are just doing the wrong thing brazenly and letting them know that I'm doing this wrong thing. The camera will pick his number. It does not care. So sometimes the behavior of people, sometimes you are in a bus. My car broke down the other day and I entered bus. For like 10 years, I've not entered bus. Okay. When I entered the place, people were pushing, go, it was not up to 2 minutes I entered that bus, I was sweating. I said, is this war? I'm begging them. I said, go carry you, prepare your car. You know, this go sit down. Why this is angry like this? People are protesting. There's no love. There's no, you don't have anything to tell them. They are not okay. You understand? And because they are not okay, they will do abnormal things. You understand? They will defecate anywhere. They will urinate anywhere. Anything you tell them not to do, they will go there to find out whether there's anybody doing that thing. If nobody is doing it, they will do it. You understand? So that's the kind of society, unfortunately, we find ourselves. So what should we do? Government must address not just the food need of the citizen, but their temperamental needs, their emotional needs. Government must do something. It's the responsibility of government. They shouldn't tell me that we should not be calling government all the time. Who are we going to call? We don't have our allegiance, we are giving it to them.
And anybody who sees this acquisition, you saying they need a tire. Only this one, only that one, only that one. We're going to enter a like this. These are the things that are so. Like I said earlier, it's greed, and people can see it. If it were, again, because of the factors surrounding it.
Yes.
Now the fact that the headline is Tinubu's, Wale Tinubu's. They were writing to make us see what it's Wale Tinubu's, and if the elite really don't care, right? Why should the citizens now become compassionate or look away? So they know where the problem is coming from. They know that there's a place where if they don't fight for it, everything will be taken over by just a few people.
Yes.
And that's not fair for anybody. Not this in a democracy.
Very true. You see, Roberta,
Yes,
in more developed societies, the former Prime Minister of Britain,
Yes.
During COVID-19, told his citizenry that they shouldn't party. No one should come out. Obey the stay at home. But of course, he organized the party and celebrated with his cronies and all. And because of that, he lost the seat. And that is where it works. But unfortunately, we have a Nigeria where
Yes. And then talking about families acquiring some sort of percentage or huge sum, I'm thinking, Henry, perhaps we can also join and include our families as well, so that things can change. All right.
Yeah. So that's the size of our package for this segment. Of course, I would love to say thank you to Cyril Abaku.
Yes, and Barrister Evans for joining us.
Let you know, both
My
gentlemen,
pleasure.
will be here to take us on our main conversation and with some of the person that will be joining us virtually. Yes.
When we return, Nigeria's Justice Minister warns against unconstitutional attempts to change the government. Do stay with us.